Hello, everybody. We are starting a new Medical Minutes episode, and today we have the honor to have a researcher here. His name is Mehdi Etehadtavakol from Iran, and he is one of the researchers that is studying a very interesting topic, a topic that most of the time we are discussing and have many doubts. And Mehdi, he will be bringing us news and presenting his research that he did and published recently. Mehdi is leading research at Shahid, Beheshti University of Medical Science, and he's the first author of this research. No. And it's cutting-edge studies on AI and thermography, published in high-impact journals. Okay.
Vai, ela. Você vai ver, eu quero ver só existir essa perna depois.
No problem. And
Você tá gostando da minha mãe? Você tá gostando da minha mãe? Para. Não, filho.
let me put this on from here. Okay, let's start. Okay, Mehdi, thank you so much to be with us today, and you can go ahead, present yourself, and if I forgot something from your curriculum, please go ahead. You are unmuted, Mehdi. Now,
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, now it's perfect. You can share your
Look.
You can share
Okay.
your presentation.
Now I'm sharing my screen. Can you see that? Yes.
Yes, I'm
Yes,
seeing.
we can see it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mehdi, please present yourself, and after tell a little more about when do you find infrared imaging? How do you start on this area? And then you can go ahead with your presentation. Thanks so much.
I'm Mehdi Etehadtavakol. As you mentioned, that I'm a medical student in Shahid Beheshti, and in Iran, my Mehdi Etehadtavakol say that and show this field, and as I desire to research and study more about this field and integration of the AI and thermographic images to more accurate prediction, to give us more accurate prediction, because when I start research in this field, I start with the thyroid thermographic imaging, and this field was challenging for I think all experts in this field. And as a first research, it was so challenging task. And when I read and study about for example, neural networks and deep learning, I think that it was a good idea to concatenate these two fields to perhaps we reach better and more accurate and more proficient prediction. So I start my research and studying in another field of my academic field, which is the medical medicine.
Okay, go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
With greetings and respect, I want to present an article and book chapter derived from a study on the data set of thermographic images of the thyroid region in two parts. Firstly, I will explain the article which was published, as we mentioned that, in Computer Methods and Programs in Biomedicine Journal in 2024. Okay, yeah, in this project, thermographic images was integrated with the artificial intelligence to enhance analysis and evaluation with the ultimate goal of achieving more precise predictions in the domain of image segmentation. Um, Studies pertaining to this category of images are typically classified into three groups. One group has attempted to detect abnormal regions by just leveraging temperature differences across various areas. But a second group has focused on identifying abnormal patterns by exploiting the dynamic properties of these images. However, both approaches have ultimately failed to consistently identify the intended patterns. And in practice, thermography specialists have not yet established a predictive model for thyroid gland tumor abnormalities. In the subsequent phase, given the dramatic advancement in artificial intelligence for image analysis, it shows that concatenation of these two fields can achieve more accurate prediction. So the introduced article belongs to this group. Okay, in this slide, we want to explain the data set which we used in our research to take one image. Okay. In this study, data were collected from outpatient endocrinology and surgery clinics affiliated with Antonio Pedro University Hospital and the Federal University of Fluminense. For each patient, 20 consecutive images were captured at same time intervals. The standard protocol of this data set was that the camera was configured to take one image every 15 seconds over a 5-minute period. So for each case, we have 20 images. It includes information from 46 patients with regions of interest, which annotated by an endocrinologist. The protocol for the datasets implementation is described in the corresponding article, but I think, for example, their experts use other imaging tests and, for example, biopsy to this task to annotation of the abnormal regions of this image. So, as the so respective to the standard data analysis protocols, we firstly perform a series of data processing steps to prepare our data for input into the model. The primary steps including cropping, resizing, and normalization. As we can see in the data set, the original images were rectangular with 640 times 480 pixels, but we cropped to the square matrix. That shape was 482 times 480 pixels because of the limitation of the encoder phase of our model in the U-Net neural network. And in next step, we resize them to 240 times 240 pixels in studies 1 through 3, but in the study 4, because of the nature of the feature engineering method, the shape of our inputs reshaped to 96 times 96 pixels. And the end study, which was the study 5, the images were resized to 256 times 256 because of the constraints of our model's encoder. After that, we applied normalization to the all image matrices which were our inputs of our models. So in this slide, we can see uh, that in studies 1 to 4 we employed a combination of the U-Net network and the VGG16 backbone for the encoder phase for medical image analysis. But in study 5, as part of our comparative evaluation, we implemented 2 additional models. It was the U-Net with another encoder backbone. We use ResNet 50 and Inception V3 to compare these encoders with our classic VGG16 encoder, which we use in studies 1 through 4. So in this slide, we can see the architecture of our model. It is a simplified design of our model, which employs a VGG16 backbone in the encoder phase. As we can observe, the model captures low-level features in the encoder phase, and with using the transfer learning methods, we use the pre-trained weights in this phase. And so during the encoding phase, we use some functions, as we can see. For example, we use max pooling 2D function to downsample the feature maps, effectively having their dimensions. And after that, this is followed by decoding phase that involves upsampling and feature concatenation. Feature concatenation is the process of skip connections between encoder and decoder phase to restore the spatial dimensions and achieve accurate segmentation. The proposed model is derived from the classical VGG16 architecture. However, the final 3 convolutional layers, 2 max pooling layers, and 3 dense layers have been replaced with a design resembling the decoding structure of U-Net. As a result, the input and output dimensions remain similar due to the upsampling in the decoder phase. Okay. In later slides for evaluation of our model's performance, we use famous indicator which names dice coefficient. It is a statistical measure used to compute how similar 2 sets are by considering their overlap. For example, we and see that how much the overlap of the foregrounds of 2 images. As we can see, the numerator and denominator of a fraction of this formula is that this formula doubles the weight of the shared elements, which is the intersection, and divides that by the total number of elements in both sets. As we can see, this indicator has this extended and broad fields of application. For example, we use this in natural language processing in our task, which was in image segmentation and the data science. So we can start our study results, which I will explain. As we can see in the training setting of this study, 46 images were selected from this dataset and the model was trained for 100 epochs. And the best results for each coupled iteration was reported. We use coupled cross-validation, which is the standard system to dividing the data set into two parts. I want to divide this data set in three parts, which is the training, test, and validation. But according the smallness, the limitation of our limitations of our data set size, we cannot use we cannot divide this data set into three parts. So various performance indicators were used to evaluate the quality of the image segmentation produced by our model. However, as I've mentioned, given the nature of this task, the dice coefficient proved to be the most appropriate metric for this research. As a result, considering an average dice coefficient of only 9% on the test data, it is obvious that the model did not achieve adequate training and it shows significant weakness in this study. In this slide, as we can see, the left-hand panel displays the original image which serve as the model's input in the model training process. And the middle panel presents the ground truth mask characterized by a black background with the target region delineated in the foreground. And in contrast, the right-hand panel shows the predicted mask output by the model, which encompass a broad area, resulting in a significantly low dice coefficient. Clearly, the model failed to learn any meaningful pattern during the training process. So we continue our researching, and after assessing the inefficiency of the model developed in study one, we decided to leverage the sequence of images available for each case. As I've mentioned, we can use the dynamic properties of this data set. So our objective was determine whether an increase in temperature could help differentiate the tumor region from the surrounding healthy tissue. To achieve this, we used the final image from each case. However, the results remain unsatisfactory as the average dice coefficient was only 7%. So again, we can see the sample prediction generated by the model as observed. The right-hand image reveals that the model fails to detect the common characteristic of the regions of interest in this example, resulting in inefficient predictions. Moreover, unlike earlier results, in this instance, the model does not recognize any learned patterns, leading to nearly the entire prediction being classified as background. So we again continue, and in our subsequent study, we expanded the model's input by utilizing 92 images corresponding to 46 cases. Notably, these images represent the two hottest temperature profiles for each patient in the 20 images in the 20 images collection of each patient. Despite increasing the dataset size, the results remain unsatisfactory. Although there was a 3% improvement in the dice coefficient, the overall performance was still weak. Okay. Nevertheless, the prediction remains ineffective. Similar to our previous study, the model is unable to detect any abnormalities. So we we can see this study 4, which was the novelty of our research in this article. As mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, deep learning models typically require large amounts of data, which names are big data. They use big data to better the training of our model to reach the accurate prediction of our models. So, given the limited size of our data set, we consider feature engineering as a potential solution to enhance model efficiency. Initial experiments involving the extraction of simple features. For example, first I use mean standard deviation, the deviation like these simple features, but they revealed that these did not modify the prediction outcomes. Oh, okay, it is logical that the numerical ranges of these features in the region of interest and the adjacent areas are similar. So, for example, with macroscopic eyes or even with intelligent AI models, they cannot distinguish between the abnormal and healthy area. So consequently, we decided to employ more complex features, specifically radiomics features. After comparing the histograms of various radiomics features, we observed that entropy feature in particular may help the model recognize meaningful patterns in these enhanced inputs. In the later slides, in this slide and the later, I explain about the methodology of this feature engineering to better understand that the method consists of several steps. First, the original images are converted to grayscale state. Next, I divided these images into 5 times 5 sub-images. Given that each original image measures 480 times 480 pixels, this division produces a total of 9,216 sub-images. So in the subsequent step, the entropy is computed independently for each sub-image as a radiomics feature. And after that, we reshape all these values into the single 96 times 96 matrix, which serves as the new input, which serve as the new reshape input for our model. And in next slide, I will illustrate you the process of this feature. As we can see, entropy is a measure of randomness or complexity within a region of interest in medical images. As we can see, this feature evaluates how unpredictable or diverse the intensity values are in an image, or it is better to say that in our specified matrix. A higher entropy value indicates a greater heterogeneity, which might correspond to complex or irregular tissue structures. Conversely, lower entropy suggests uniformity or homogeneity in the image. This metric is widely used in radiomics to analyze tumor heterogeneity, as variations in entropy can provide valuable information about the biological characteristics of tissue. Here in this formula, P is the probability of the intensity level pixels in the image, and N is the total number of intensity levels. So, as we discuss about this feature, we can continue with the results of this study. The results in this study indicate that the average dice coefficient has nearly tripled with the implementation of this novel method. The model's accuracy has improved significantly, reaching an average dice coefficient of 28.6% when using cal equals 10. Subsequent slides demonstrate sample predictions where the model is now able to accurately detect the correct mask patterns, suggesting promising potential. Okay, in this slide, the left hand figure, in the left hand figure, it is obvious that the new inputs differ significantly from the previous images, from the original images of our data set. The identification of one of the two cancerous masses in this, for example, sample indicates that these regions exhibit a variety of patterns. Despite the extraction of entropy as a feature, the model was unable to capture the full spectrum of these patterns, successfully identifying only one cancerous region while failing to detect the other. This observation highlights the considerable variability in the patterns of thyroid cancer region and underscores the necessity of a more diverse training dataset for enhanced learning and improved prediction. Furthermore, the analysis suggests that even within a single patient, distinct cancer patterns can appear in different regions, further emphasizing the significant diversity present within the feature maps of cancerous areas. Okay, we can see in the accompanying figure that it illustrates the model's effective prediction of the region as the predictive region aligns closely with the actual mask. Notably, although no pattern is evident at the macroscopic level from the original input mask, the AI model successfully identifies the underlying common patterns. So this observation underscores the model's ability to capture subtle features that may not be visible to our eyes. So again, another example. Okay. And as mentioned earlier, for comparative analysis, two additional models were implemented. We employ both sets of inputs with the ResNet50 and Inception V3 architecture in the encoder phase of our model. So under this configuration, a dice coefficient of 18% was achieved, suggesting that the model using the VGG16 backbone is more proficient at detecting patterns. And in this table, we present the three primary indicators used to compare our models. Regarding accuracy, it is important to note that the elevated number of true negatives is a consequence of relatively small size of the mask region compared to the entire image. As a result, the significance of true negatives is diminished, which can lead to an inflated accuracy metric. Therefore, the dice coefficient is the most appropriate indicator for this task, which is the image segmentation. In study 4, the highest dice coefficient achieved was 28%, as we can see. Okay, and in next slide, we can see that, moreover, sensitivity and specificity may not fully capture all aspects of model performance in complex tasks, such as our task in this research, primarily because these metrics require converting each predicted image into binary format using a threshold. This thresholding method simplifies the information by categorizing pixel into just two classes, 0 and 1, which can lead to information loss. It should be noted that due to the extensive neutral area in the image, which an area that anatomically can never be part of the mask region. For example, the thyroid tumoral abnormalities cannot appear in, for example, in eyes or ear in the image. So the specificity is inflated. Hence, area is labeled as negative, resulting in significantly fewer false negative pixels relative to the true positive. So the specificity in this task inflated artificially. So similarly, because the actual mask region is expansive compared to the anatomically permissible mask area in most images, the sensitivity metric is also falsely elevated. That is, a broad area is constantly classified as positive, leading to fewer false positives in relation to the true negatives. Consequently, in studies 1 through 3, these two indicators remain weak despite an overall improving trend. Notably, given the critical importance of specificity in diagnostic tests, the model demonstrates limited diagnostic capability in these three studies. However, in study 4, through enhanced feature engineering, the model's specificity increased significantly from 77% in study 1 to 95% in study 4, thereby enhancing its diagnostic performance. It is worth noting that the observed decrease in sensitivity in study 4 indicates a potentially more realistic classification approach compared to previous studies. Okay, and we can. Okay.
Oh,
I continue with the part 2.
okay.
Yes. In part 2, I will present our second research study.
Professor.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You have
Okay,
another
okay.
part. Okay.
Apology. In part 2, I will present our second research study, a direct extension of our earlier work, which I discussed. Includes a detailed analysis of a chapter from the STEAM lecture notes in computer science series. In this study, we extend our investigation by employing 4 feature selection models, namely PCA, LDA, TSNE, and RFE, to reduce the dimensionality of radiomics features for comparative analysis. Notably, PCA and TSNE serve as an unsupervised technique, while LDA and RFE operate under supervised frameworks. Our object is to further validate the efficacy of the dimensionality reduction methods in enhancing the analysis and evaluation of thyroid thermographic images. So,
Are you sharing your screen? Sorry, are you sharing a new slide?
Yes, we are still
On
looking
the
at your
24.
last PowerPoint. So I guess you want to share a new slide, right?
Share the
Sure.
A new presentation. We are still
Okay, okay.
you
The
are still
previous
sharing the
presentation.
old presentation. Yeah, the first one.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, one time, yeah. Mm. Okay. Oh, yes.
You can maybe stop
Yes, yes.
sharing.
Stop share. Yes, yes.
That's it. And now
Thank you
share
very
again
much.
the new one.
Yes, yes. Okay. Can you see the new presentation?
It's coming
Okay,
now.
Okay. Okay.
You are on preview mode. Maybe yes,
thank
that's right.
Yes, yes, thank you. With regard to the data set, pre-processing and feature engineering, which I discussed earlier, we now turn to feature reduction. In this phase, the 107 extracted features of the Radiomics were consolidated into just a single component using various feature selection models. This compact representation was then reshaped into a new feature map that served as the input for following learning architecture, which I've discussed, they are similar to previous study. We use U-Net with VGG16 backbone, with the ResNet 50, and with the new architecture, which was the DenseNet 121 backbone to perform precise segmentation. So, in next slides, we can see some example and some instance of our outputs of our models. As we can see, for example, in this slide, the results obtained using the PCA method show that the minimal overlap with the highlighted yellow area. We can see in the right hand panel the yellow border line is the area of the real regions of interest in this task. So this limited overlap indicates that the model's segmentation accuracy is suboptimal under the PCA approach.
go ahead.
Oh, yes, okay. Okay, in this slide, we present the feature map obtained from the TSNE method. As observed, the model predicts a more extensive region compared to the output seen with the PCA method in the previous slide. Although the prediction successfully encompasses the actual area, the dice coefficient, for example, in this sample, remains at 55%, suggesting that there is still significant room for improvement. And in this slide, we present the model's prediction using the input feature map derived from RFE. Compared to the previous method, this approach delineates a more precise region, yet the dice coefficient remains below 60, indicating that there is still scope for improvement. And at the end of this case, we observe that the most promising result obtained from the input feature map derived LDA. The model has nearly achieved an optimal segmentation of the target area, demonstrating both high specificity and high sensitivity, and reaching a dice coefficient of almost 73%. Although the feature map which was derived from this method, it showed that we cannot see the meaningful underlying pattern in our new inputs, but the AI models can detect more accurate manner, so they have a good prediction. And in the subsequent evaluation, we examine the second example where the actual area is clearly larger than in the previous case. However, the model's prediction derived from the input feature map generated by PCA exhibited neither high sensitivity nor specificity. Okay, with utilizing the RFE method, we can see that the model's prediction appears noticeably disorganized. This observation suggests that the model did not effectively learn or extract distinct features from these inputs. So with TSNE for case for second case, we observed that the predictions generated using the TSNE method, much like those from the RFE approach, appear disorganized. Notably, the Dice coefficient reveals only a 12% agreement between the predicted and actual segmentation, underscoring the limited efficacy of this method. And in this slide, we again observe the model's performance using the LDA-derived feature map. The prediction aligns closely with the actual mask, and the corresponding feature map distinctly highlights the target area. Notably, the model achieved an impressive Dice coefficient of 82% in this example. As we can see in this table, for optimal comparison, we use previous indicators to evaluate, to assess our model's performance. As noted in the methodology slide, we employed additional models with LDA due to its superior performance with the VGG16 backbone to provide a more comprehensive evaluation. A review of the Dice coefficient reveals that the performance of the LDA method outstrips that of other feature selection techniques. In particular, the U-Net model with the VGG16 backbone, when paired with LDA, achieved the highest Dice coefficient of 40% compared to our previous studies' highest value of 28%, demonstrating a significant advancement. Additionally, both the LDA and PCA methods exhibited average specificity levels exceeding 98%, which was marked improvement over the other models. So the novel aspect of this study lies in integrating feature reduction with deep learning for the segmentation of thyroid nodules, particularly under the constraint of a limited data set. Looking ahead, future research with access to larger, well-distributed data sets will likely enhance the learning process. Specialized data sets labeled for specific conditions such as benign or malignant tumors would be especially beneficial, as they would enable the model to capture the distinct patterns associated with each condition.
1 minute.
Thank you for your attention.
Questions?
Okay.
Any question? I have many questions here, especially congratulations for your presentation, Mehdi. And actually, in medicine, we are having new approaches and mixing the AI engineering during the medicine course. And one question is, in Iran, where you live, is increasing this interest of medical doctors and students with engineering? It's part of their formation?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, because at the Arizona State University, it's starting the first year of medicine and engineering. So it's so new, and it was amazing to see you as a doctor in medicine involved with this kind of approach. So it's amazing to see you presenting this and talking like an engineer and AI engineer.
Thank you.
Because we are in a moment that we need more different approaches, and we have many tools in engineering to help us as doctors in our practice. So congratulations, it's very impressive in your multidisciplinary work. And about questions from a clinical point of view, the quick question is not only detect thyroid nodules, but your model help us differentiate between benign and malignant ones? Did your study include that kind of classification, or you mix out without knowing if it's benign
We
or malignant?
mix, we just mix the inputs of our models, all the mixing of the all
Okay.
classified. Yes.
Because
Yes.
do you believe your system could help reduce unnecessary fine needle aspiration biopsies? Because if you increase the number of benign biopsy, we can also increase the costs and at the same time create another problem. For example, that's it. So when we found so many things, especially related to tumors on breast or thyroid, the doctors have a
Hopefully
little
in
worry because
future
it's
research.
really necessary to do biopsy on this case. Do you feel comfortable with that you're on this direction?
Yes.
Hopefully
Hopefully in future research, because in just some countries they have these systems, these intelligent and complex systems. So we want to more, as I mentioned, the larger data set, which label more, for example, I think that in this data set, the large proportion of this data set was belongs to benign tumor abnormalities. And for example, I think just five or six cases have the malignant tumoral abnormalities.
Imagine you had to undergo to a biopsy on yourself. Based on your results, which combination of model and feature selection would you trust the most to guide the radiology? Do you feel comfortable, or which one do you choose until now, based on your results?
LDA, the combination of when we use LDA method, feature reduction, to compact all of the 107 features to just a single component, and when we fed them to our models, I think the unit with the VGG16 backbone has a promising prediction. We have reached to 40%, which was compared to 7% of the original images, was a significant improvement.
Okay, and I see very interesting the radiomic features and seem to correlate with vascular and metabolic dynamics. Have you considered correlating your finds with Doppler ultrasound or cytopathological reports in the future? Are you thinking on continuous this research, but by doing the image by yourself now, because you
Yes.
use the database that you're not sure how they did collect it, okay, but it's very good. But don't you think too, wow, it's now time and prepared to start a new approach here and using ultrasound biopsy by yourself?
Yeah, we can use this complementary technique. For example, we can use the multiple input types. For example, we can use CT of these these patients, and the thermographic images as a complementary technique to achieve more accurate predictions.
and share our result to the other image.
And share
Oh, if she wants to talk, no problem. What's her comment?
Hopefully that audience.
hopefully in future we can do them. Yes.
Hopefully.
Okay. And so this union between clinical medicine and data science is essential for the future. So this is why I like to bring people like you showing this connection, because we believe we can serve as a bridge between physiology, image processing, AI-driven diagnosis. So thermography is a bridge between medicine engineering, and
Yes.
I love this. And also again, congratulations.
It's a good idea because of the base of thermographic images with for example, the blood circulation of these abnormal regions, so we can connect for example, physiology of the circulation of blood circulation of this region with radiologists which use the anatomic features of for example, CT or MRI, and we can concatenate. But I think that in future works we can use. It's a good idea, but we have a limitation of the collection of the data set.
We're here to help you if you want. There are many people using infrared imaging, having patients with thyroid nodules. Thyroid nodules is very common. A half
Yes, we
percent
will
of
be connecting
population
you.
has this.
Yes.
So this is a high incidence, but not means most of them are cancer. It means that the incidence is very high. But we must to take secure, and especially if we don't do biopsy guided by infrared, but especially screening this correctly. So your project is a beautiful example of how interdisciplinary work can contribute not just to research publication, but to more intelligent,
Yes.
portable, and human-centered medicine for us to do the screening of this. Do you have a something
Yes, we will be touching
prepared
you. Yes.
to use actually, or just on the paper? Do you have any kind of softwares or
Perfect.
something like that on that moment?
It would be a perfect idea. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any
I
software at this moment that is possible to use for research or to analyze suspicious
to
cases?
show the model process, for example. I have a copy of the codes of this in the supplementary file of this article. Yes, I have put these codes, all of the codes of all of the studies of this research in our supplementary file, which the people which it would be available to all the readers of this article. Yes.
Okay. Any question? Everyone here? Anyone here wants to do a question or can go ahead? Any question?
We've got some questions on the chat. So Yuli is asking you to clarify, please, the colors versus the grayscale images used in artificial intelligence.
The colorful images which has 3 channels, which are belongs to red, green, and blue channels. But the grayscale images converted these 3 channels to just one. It uses a specific formula. I don't remind the exact formula of the converting, but the Python can convert them to yes, grayscale image.
Yeah, this is a good question because when we change grayscale to color, we are changing the intensity of that.
Yes, yes.
And maybe you can increase or decrease the effect of AI on this also. Is a challenge, yeah? Yeah.
Yes, yes. As you as you mentioned, when I was researching in this field, it was my question that what is the formula of the converting these the these two image type, and I see that using the original images with three channels for each image can the model can recognize more accurate can detect more accurate patterns, and so as a result I don't utilize the grayscale format of this image. I just fit the RGB, the colorful images, into the our architecture. The disadvantage of this method is that the computation time increases when we have the process of training. But as I saw, the accuracy and the dice coefficient has improvement compared to using the grayscale images as the inputs. Yes.
And there's other interesting point that you're teaching your AI with infrared imaging and not from the nodules thyroid. So it's a challenge also because you could be teaching the AI with some noises, or because you're not sure if that vessel or a specific hotspot there or is really related with that thyroid node. So it's a change because most of the time you mix this on the analysis. But okay, you have a good specificity and sometimes you have good sensibility. So we know that you are in the way, it's good results, but there's this challenge that we are not seeing. We're just seeing vessels, vasculars, and not the nodule by himself. But okay, no problem. But this is a confounders on this research, and it's very difficult to solve this. And the combination of methods is something very interesting and more complex. And if you do the image with Doppler, with ultrasound, biopsy by yourself, I believe you can find or can fix much more these confounders, and we can have really thyroid screening, because I believe it's much more easy to screen thyroid from tumors, in my opinion, it's not just opinion, than breast, for example. Breast is much more complex, a big gland and bilateral, depends. There's a lot of anatomical difference between humans, and thyroid is a more specific, small area. So if you go ahead with this, you can have much more success in research than the people that are trying to find the same situation on breast. Okay, how does this situation? Thank you.
Excuse me, may I have a comment?
Sure, welcome.
Yeah, as I introduce myself, I'm the second author of this article. Actually, if we have access to the raw data, it would be great.
Yeah.
The raw data. I'm not sure if we can access to the raw data.
It's not my database, but I
I know.
believe they have this because I know this group. I'm very close to them. And sure, they have the radiometric images. So it's possible
Okay.
to have. No, I think it's possible, but I don't know if it's permitted. So you need to
Okay,
talk with
I
them.
know.
Yeah.
So the error in the raw data are very low, and we can trust them more.
Crazy.
They are frozen.
Frozen. Espera um pouco. Oh.
Can you hear?
Okay, now okay.
The raw data, yeah, that's one of our problem. And the other problem is the limitation of the data set. they are limited. We need more data. And about the contribution of the radiologist and physicists and other field experts, we need to do contribution with them to make sure that our results are accurate and reliable.
Yes, this is why I was one of the reviewer of this paper, and one question it was about the result of biopsy. So it's very important we know the size of these tumors are little one, big ones, follicular, popular, or indeterminate nodules, because it's a complex to
Yes.
sometimes, especially follicular tumors. Follicular tumors could be benign, could be malignant, depends of the experience of the pathologist. And most of the time you need to review this biopsy, blah, blah, blah. So this is, it's very complex if we go on this aspect. But if we think on the screening, separate, in this situation, I really will do a biopsy. So if with infrared imaging is correctly indicating patients to do biopsy, and especially with a high incidence of cancer detection, great. And sure, we don't need to close all the gaps at this moment.
Yes.
Try to see what size, but if you separate this group will be amazing. And you show it on your paper and research that we can do that. We are
hopefully
close to
in
that. It's
future.
possible.
Yes.
It's not something very far. No, it's just there. As you told me, we need good cases, separate benign, malignant, biopsy, and measure this region. Perfect. We are almost there. And more.
Yes.
And you can achieve more fat than breath. But let's keep walking. Okay, we are on our finishing our time of presentation. Congratulations for you, for your group, for Professor NG that is with us. I don't know if he wants to say some words here. He's welcome. And congratulations for your group. From I know you're Singapore, you're from Iran, but you did the research in the Singapore group.
Yes.
And did engineering with Professor NG as a supervisor. Thank you so much, and see you on the next Medical Minutes on Saturday on the same time. And welcome to take part of us with AAT. Anyway, in podcasts, on the YouTube, and here on the Zoom every Saturday. Thank you, and good weekend to everyone
for
here.
your invitation in this presentation.
Thank you.